Morning, everyone. This is Gary Kayye of Rave Publications, and I am fortunate to be here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and have the opportunity to talk to Mike Blackman, the Managing Director of Integrated System Events, which, of course, as we all know, the most exciting thing happening over the next couple of weeks here is the fact that the ISE Europe show, our IS Europe show, is kicking off on January 31st, and I know you're extremely busy, Mike, and I appreciate you being willing to take 5 minutes of your time this morning to talk to us about what's going on at the show.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, I'm glad to be here too, and have the opportunity to talk to some of the industry.
And you're actually in Munich right now, right?
I'm in Munich right now. We have a couple of offices across Europe because my team works decentralized. It's one of the things that really makes working together like you do with your people, Gary. And we meet regularly. We meet every week by conference call. We talk daily, and we don't see the difference being between Amsterdam and Munich or being down the corridor when we're talking by phone.
Well, I'll tell you, Amsterdam's been an amazing host. I was one of the most excited people when you decided to standardize on that location, and I hope it stays there a while and we can get into that. But I know that there are, with the economy and sort of where things have been in sort of a stalemate in the last 6 months, at least, the global economy. I know there are pockets in Europe that are doing really well, and there are pockets that are sort of very flat, and there's some areas that are down. So there's got to be a lot of people on the fence about going to the show, and I think they'd be missing huge opportunity. I mean, there's so much to see there, and you've got Sony back this year. That's a huge deal because everybody knows the part they've played, but you've got some main big-time companies there, and this is the AV show in Europe. What would you say to them to kind of push them over the fence to spend those few few hundred euros to show up at the show?
Well, I mean, firstly, travel to Amsterdam is cheap, and depending on what dates you choose, a flight can range from anything between 100 and a couple of hundred, depending on which flyer you take. So there's still some bargains available. It's easy to get there by train. The Thalys goes from France. There's the Eurostar from the UK. You've got the Thalys and ICE from Germany. So all those short distance traveling times are 2-3 hours from major cities and really, really cheap. As well as that, it's easy to get there by road. So that's one of the key reasons we stayed in Amsterdam. Why should people come? Well, we always like to boast bigger, better, even more. Well, it really is like that every year at ISE. This year we have something like 100 new exhibitors. We have a complete new hall, one extra hall of space, so even bigger than last year. The show is actually almost 20% larger in floor space than it was last year.
That's impressive.
And again, some of those, we see the return of people like Sony, which we're really pleased to see. They're a major name in the display industry or in the AV industry in general, and they've been missed, and we're really glad to see their return and the fact they're really behind this event. They will be launching some new products there, and I think that's exciting for all of us. It's great for the press, but it's great for the industry to actually see new stuff at ISE. We've been really fortunate in the last few years that more and more of the manufacturers are now timing their product development and product launches to coincide with ISE. Now, for the display manufacturers, that really makes sense because they get the US market with CES, and then they'll follow 2 weeks later with us. So it really becomes a world platform for them in January, February. And we're glad to be included within that.
What you have there is extraordinarily unique because here in the US, we have two separate shows, one for Pro AV and one for high-end home AV, but you have it all combined in one because of your partnership, the partnership you built with Infocom and Cedia. And so this is like literally the one show that if you had to pick a show to go to every year, it seems like this would be the show that everybody would pick to attend. So it just makes sense because you cover the gambit of all AV integration.
Absolutely, and I think this is one of the things. I mean, the European market is a little bit different to the US. In the US, I think there's a real distinction between a lot of the integrators and custom installers who are doing residential or commercial, and not so many who do both. In Europe, what's happened is the guys who've been really successful are doing both platforms because residential is not as big as the US, but it's a growing market. It is huge. There's a lot of money being spent on residential installations, and I mean outside of the UK, most of the people who are doing residential installs have a commercial division as well, or the other way around. So that made a lot of sense to have a show that covered both parts. Second point was when you look at manufacturers like AMX, Crestron, and many, many others, they cover both sides of the market. So having one platform to talk to everybody just really, really helped them.
Yeah, and speaking of which, can you give us a sneak peek of? I mean, you're obviously talking to every manufacturer out there, and we of course get embargoed press releases from companies that are introducing new products. I'm unable to really talk about some of the neat things. I will tell you that, and I know you know some stuff that you're probably not able to talk about, but I'm excited about some of the few things that we know that are new are going to be sort of industry exciting products. But can you tell us what you've heard? Sort of what's I know that you have a show theme, but what's going to be the hot thing, or what's the exciting new thing that you think you're going to see?
Well, I mean, when I look at this, obviously, I think one of the biggest things that's going to happen is with Sony actually doing the product launch for their new home cinema projector at ISE. So that's going to be, I believe, that's going to be a worldwide launch. I'm not sure if it's been shown at CES already. So we're really honored to have that in there. We're seeing a lot of new things coming from companies like Extron and Crestron. A lot of the smaller companies showing new products as well. European launches for a lot of the residential companies in there. What I don't want to do is actually just pick on any individual ones and just otherwise I'll have about, if I choose 5, there'll be another 745 companies saying, well, why didn't you mention us? What I can tell you, there'll be a lot of product launches. There'll be a lot of new solutions being shown in both residential and commercial at the show. You will not be disappointed to be there. If you're an industry veteran that thinks you've seen it all, I guarantee there are things that you have not seen yet that will be shown at ISE.
Yeah, and we're going to be there. Obviously, we'll have about 15 people there, including our office in Europe. We're excited. We appreciate the opportunity to be part of the show. We are excited about being a media partner along with the other media partners that you have there in Europe, and we are excited to be coming to the show. I'm especially excited to see the growth of the digital signage pavilion this year, or the digital signage area that you have. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think that anybody who has not made their reservations, they need to go ahead and do it. If you don't mind pointing out the web address real quick where they can sign up and get more information, I'd appreciate it.
Well, the web address is www.iseurope.org. Now, some of the other key things, Gary, education is going to be a real difference this year. For the first time, CEDIA and Infocom are combining their educational resources. Certification and will still be done separately, but there'll be quite a few courses which are combined. There'll be, but the area and the places where the education is taking part is now central. Wow. So for anyone who's in the industry who wants to learn more, get more value from the market, ISE will give you the opportunity not only for training, but also certification. As well as that, we've got the manufacturer seminars. So manufacturers who are actually doing training on their own products and solutions. Another thing which is something you don't want to miss, for the first time, we will be actually doing a keynote at ISE. ISE is now developing into being not just 3 days of exhibition, but becoming an event over a week where manufacturers are doing distributor training, their own meetings before and after the show. And we've decided to actually not only start with education, but also with a keynote, a kickoff the day before the show, just like they do at Infocom and CEDIA. It's a great networking opportunity. So if people want to come and meet their peers, they want to meet other people in the industry, but also learn more, then here's the place. We brought in Gerhard Schultz from Ingram, who's going to, I think, give a very inspirational speech about what opportunities there are for not only distributors, but for integrators, for manufacturers, for every part of the market, and how to expand their business. And I think it's going to be a nice start for us as well.
Yeah, and his background in IT and their background in IT sort of ties it all together because of where our industry is moving.
Absolutely. And following that, there'll be a reception which is hosted jointly by Infocom and CEDIA. Please register for that as well. You're all welcome. There's no charge. Come and have some drinks on us and say hi to other people in the industry. Find out what's going on. We had a slogan at ISE, which was network, discover, learn, and do business. Well, here's the place to network as a start, and you know, you'll find the key people in the industry being at this event.
And I think you know, I've always been a big proponent of going to shows for the education more than the exhibits. I know that you have to go on an exhibit floor like this because there's so many exciting products to see. I mean, you said how many booths did you say this year?
It's over 750.
750 booths. That's 750, at least 750 different products. You know, times each. Most manufacturers introduce 3 or 4, maybe even 7 or 8 products there. But the education is the key. I agree with you, and I think that you'd be doing yourself a disservice by attending a show like this and not at least stepping into, at a minimum, the keynote and maybe a few classes, especially since they're all centralized, and you do get continuing education credits from both CEDIA and Infocom. It's all wrapped into one location, and instead of having to travel all around the world to a whole bunch of different shows, this is the place to go. I mean, everybody's going to be there. So you've done a phenomenal job, Mike. Your team has been awesome to deal with. We've had an incredibly enjoyable experience this year preparing for the show, and we're excited about going over there. We're even excited about that long flight, but hey, we'll be there all of a sudden, and we'll stay awake and we'll handle it, and we'll get on the show floor and set up and start recording some videos and doing some blogging.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing you there, and again, we appreciate the support we get from Rave in both the US and Europe. You've been long-term partners of ours from the very beginning. In fact, Gary, I think you were one of the people who was involved in the secret discussions at the very beginning before the show was launched.
I was lucky to be there, and I was excited about having the show in Switzerland because it's one of my favorite countries. But I am sure glad you moved it to Amsterdam.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot. I look forward to seeing you in person. And again, the website is www.iseurope.com. Is that correct?
.org.
.org. That's right. iseurope.org.
Take you there as well, but
but officially it's .org. All right. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate it. You have a good day.
Thank you, Gary. You too. See you in Amsterdam.
I will be there.